Hey, here we go. All right. Looks like we can actually do some commentary from China. I was worried for a moment because I was communicating with online services for nearly my entire life. But here we are. In fact, qualifying should have already begun. But I think perhaps other people are also having some problems with the wonderful, inimitable EA servers. Hello, Testwill, how you doing? I remember you. Driver of the day. Did you put it up on your bedroom wall? That's what I'd do. Right, here we go. Time for Kelston to not know anything about this racetrack, but we're gonna try and have a good time. It's tier 2. It's round 5, actually. Being as it's round 5. Hello, by the way, Leo. Being as it's round 5, what we should probably do while we wait for people to complete their outlaps and get set up in this qualifying session is give everybody a rundown of the standings. Let me bring these up. In fact, I can maybe do it in a really cool way. Maybe. Go Haas, boys. Nice to see you in the chat, Twitch stereo. You missed all my overtakes? Yeah, well, listen. That's the Kelston stream guarantee, okay? We're not going to capture any of the action. All right? Mostly, driver of the day is like, who had the best vibes? And you had the best vibes, so congratulations. All right. Check this out. Well, don't worry about that. Your standings going into round 5 of the Tier 2 Revolution Championship. You've got Snipes, who I am no longer allowed to refer to. The driver formerly known as Snips. Snipes is in P1 on 76 points. Which is nearly a whole race win above the man in second, Tolu, driving for Red Bull in Tier 2 this season on 55. And then reading down the rest of the order, you've got Jumpy Painter, who did miss the race, actually, last week, on 47 points in third. Golden Egg Fryer with 33 in fourth. Pinkweb in fifth. Shelby, Arbon, Zezin, Igor, Testwheel, Soul Demon, Razor, Easy, Verklempt, Truge, Stary. All of these guys, look at that, right the way down to 20th, have scored some points. Some of them have scored more points than others. But it was a very good race last time out, actually, at Texas for Snipes. And hopefully that continues going into... Well, hopefully for Snipes that continues. Going into the Chinese Grand Prix. Qualifying. Let me turn this stuff on. Looks a little bit... grey, doesn't it? It looks ever so slightly grey to me. Some of them scored... That's right. There are drivers with points, Truge Theory. There are drivers with more points than some of those drivers with points. And if you can believe it, put your eyeballs back in their sockets. There are drivers with less points than some of the other drivers with points. Which, overall, makes for a very exciting championship, doesn't it? We are going to ride on board with the man himself, Jatin, as he begins his flying lap, and the first flying lap in Tier 2 qualifying around the Shanghai International Circuit. Is this all Turn 1, by the way? I have no idea of the corner numbers here, because Turn 1 is around about half the racetrack. But nice and clean so far from Jatin, and then swing it into the next little sequence of corners. Some people come here for racing, I come for wisdom. All I would say to you, Trujsteri, is don't think that gives you any sort of superiority over the other people, because anybody who comes here for anything is an idiot. But it's a pleasure to have you on board. Approaching, right, the end of the timing line for Sector 2 here. Let's see what Jatin's looking like before we get onto that big, long straight. 52.9 currently. And then I think we were trying to work this out last season. Is this the longest straight on the circuit? Maybe it depends how you think of the Baku straight. But it's pretty close, isn't it? Is he not burning much battery here, Jatin? I'm not sure what's going on. I'll tell you what's going on there. It looks like he's burnt a lot of battery this lap, but also he's got a lot of battery remaining, unless it's just some sort of weird visual glitch. Right then, round the final corner. What's the time going to be for the first qualifying lap of tonight's session? It's Jatin in the Kicksauber with a 1:33.9. Will it be immediately topped? No, Pinkweb's on an outlap. It will, though, because Test Wheel. It's Test Wheel. It will indeed, Test Wheel. Puts himself onto P1 for around about half a second before Jumpy Painter, the man who had to miss the race, of course, last week, slots into provisional pole position with a 1:32.3. Good to see you, by the way, Blitz. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't say hello. You know what I mean? Too many very exciting things were happening, like one corner and then another corner and then followed by another corner. I can see a couple of Red Bulls. Arbon is approaching the end of his lap, so let's see where Arbon slots into these times that are now appearing on the board. It is good enough for P6 for the first Red Bull with a 1:33.2. Tolu, meanwhile, is not far behind. A 1:33.7. That's not quite as quick as his teammate. In fact, it's about half a second slower, and it's good enough for P8 only for the time being. In fact, it's P9 now for Tolu. Right then, we have maybe just Pinkweb currently on a flying lap, so we're right on board with the Alpine here as he brings it round the final few corners of this final sector. Nice and hard on the brakes. That looks like a more reasonable battery percentage after a lap of China, to be honest. Doesn't look like... Well, it didn't look like the quickest lap time ever in the world, but it's actually only about 3.5 tenths off pole position, which incredibly is only good enough for P5. So some very competitive lap times across the field so far. Lots of outlaps are happening. The next person to complete a flying lap will be... My name's Jeff, Golden Egg Fryer. Do you love turn 1 at China? Look at this, man. What a corner. That seemed a little bit wide in the middle part of the corner from Egg Fryer, but did manage to carry a fair amount of minimum speed. See what this time looks like as we get to the end of Sector 1, breaking around about the 100-meter board into... It's basically a hairpin. And then the fast sweeping left-hander into the right. How are you feeling for Tier 5 this week? Feeling a bit more comfy? No. No, absolutely not, Blitz. I think I just... Man, I don't know what it is. I think I just have less time currently at the moment also to dedicate much time to practicing on the game. I'm not you know, I'm not really very used to the game yet. I tried to do some single player stuff, but it just got boring pretty quickly. So yeah, I'm not feeling particularly comfy, but feeling like, you know, I scored a point last week and I might be able to actually score points now. There's a special place in hell for a person that designed Turn 1. Right next to the guy that was responsible for the castle section in Baku. I love the castle section in Baku. I don't know what you're talking about. Golden Egg Fryer takes it over the line in the Aston Martin with a 1:32.627, which is good enough for P5. Pretty solid season so far from Egg Fryer, it must be said. And that is a relatively fast qualifying lap too. Snipes then. Here we go. Championship leader has an invalidated lap. This lap will not count. In fact, we will probably see him bring the Haas immediately. Oh no, he's going to go for another one. Snipe's going to try again then. Charged his battery all the way up to 100%. So we'll keep half an eye on the Haas because championship leader yet to get a time on the board. Nat, meanwhile, in the Ferrari. This must be... Is this a reserve driver? What's happened to the Ferraris? What kind of a team is that? Stormbringer and Nat? Is that... Am I supposed to recognize those people? Oof. That looked a little bit wide, really, through the apex of the final hairpin there. Plenty of speed carried through the final corner, though. What's the lap time going to be like at the end? Well, it's good enough for P11. Right there in the middle of the field, really, for Nat, a 1:33.3. Is this a Mercedes I see before me? No, it's just an outlap. It's just a Jumpy Painter outlap. Agbala Jobs also on an outlap. Is there a Williams? Anyway, here's Snipes. This is what we all wanted to see. Can the man in P1 in the championship actually put in a solid lap here? How's this going to affect the timing charts as we're, I think, around about halfway through qualifying now? Look at that, straight to the top of the leaderboard. Snipes with a 1:32.1 puts the marker down and challenges the rest of the field to beat that one. We could be in for another very successful day for the Haas driver tonight in China. Let's go, Wesley. Great lap by Snipes. Right, who's on a lap? Agbala Jobs is on a lap. That might be interesting. Jumpy Painter must be on a lap by now as well. In fact, Jumpy Painter is approaching the end of his lap, and I spotted there that he was around about 0.2 up. So we're going to keep an eye on this one because we could yet have a new provisional pole sitter not long after we got the last one. Jumpy Painter goes wide after the final corner, and it was 2.5 up. It was a 1:32.0. Without that mistake, you get the feeling that that would have been good enough for pole, but heartbreaking right at the end of the lap for Jumpy Painter. Oof. Oof, it's going to be tense. It's going to be tense. Right then, Agbala Jobs. What have you got? A 1:32.8. It's an improvement of around about a 10. And not good enough to move up the order, but good enough to solidify his position slightly more than previously. Perez, that's very early in the lap. Right then, I think we're going to check out Arbon, because I saw Arbon is approaching the final couple of corners. Nice sweeping shot of the Red Bull. Is this any good? It's pretty good. I mean, it's 0.4 worth of improvement on his previous lap time. 1:32.8 for Arbon. It does get him into the top 10. Only good enough for P9 so far. Those very low 1:32s are where... Ooh, that's invalidated. Are where the lap times are getting really feisty. Shelby. That's a pretty low 1:32. but it's not that much better than Shelby's previous lap time. In fact, I think I saw that it was around about 0.03 of a second of an improvement. So 132.4, P4 at the minute for Shelby, but we have a new pole sitter by, would you believe it, 0.03 of a second. It's Test Will, driver of the day last time out, our second place finisher, of course, at Texas. VCarb on top for the moment. A 132.121 from Test Will is good enough to take him to the top of the timing charts and to provisional pole position. Why can't I find... I mean, what car is that? Is it an Alpine? It is an Alpine. It's Pink Web. And it's Pink Web on a faster lap than he put in before. In fact, a pretty significantly faster lap. A 1:32.4 for the Alpine driver is good enough to get him onto the second row of the starting grid, at least as things stand. P4 at the moment for Pink Web. Some familiar faces up near the top, it has to be said. That's an in-lap from Shelby. I'm not sure what on earth has happened to Tolu. 0.3 up for Verklempt through the first corner. That's exciting. What's it going to be like at the end of Sector 1? Really slow. Alright, good. Really quite slow. Okay, nobody's on a lap then for a moment. That's it. To be honest, I think it's a tight grid considering length of a lap. Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a long lap. It's a long lap around China. So much of it is it's weird, right? Because so much of it feels straight. The straight is incredibly long, but then the rest of the lap is these very like long twisty sections. You know, you very rarely feel like you're sort of throwing the car through a corner at China. It's very rare that you feel you're sort of, you know, slamming some steering lock and really like just changing the car's direction in an instant. Maybe just for the couple of hairpins in the lap it feels like that, but a lot of the time you just feel like you're sort of sweeping through the corners, you know. That's how it kind of feels to me. This is apparently an outlap from Easy, so you would think when it comes to set this fast lap here, it's going to be his final lap of the session. Now, there is a Mercedes out on track. Not sure at this moment if it's Infinity or Jumpy Painter in front. Hopefully, though, they get out of the way in a moment. Struggling to maintain traction, it seemed, a little bit there through the first corner for Easy. We'll see what the time says at the end of Sector 1. Again, still very, very overcast, isn't it? Very grey, very gloomy. It is an improvement of around about 0.2 so far, and there we see the Mercedes nicely getting out of the way so that the VCarb can continue and complete this fast lap. We'll ride on board all the way around, I think, with Easy to see how this lap time turns out. Approaching the end of Sector 2 now. And yeah, it's even more of an improvement. Almost up to half a second quicker than his previous lap time. So that would shoot Easy way up the timing chart there. Maybe as high as like P6, 7. Provisionally, of course, because you can see on the minimap in the bottom right of the screen that the rest of the drivers have taken to the track and are all on their outlaps now, ready to set that final quick lap. But final couple of corners for Easy in the VCarb, nice and tight around the hairpin, and then using what little bit of battery is remaining, a little bit wide, it has to be said, on the final corner. That could be a bit of a time loss, but in the end, it's still half a second improvement. It's provisionally P8 for easy. It's going to be P8 or worse, unfortunately. It will not be any faster or any higher than that, because there isn't enough time to set another lap. But we'll wait and see what happens to the rest of the drivers. Invalidations can happen. Slow laps can happen. All kinds of things can happen. Shelby is going to be the next person, I believe. Ooh, to cross the line. I'm actually not sure where the invalidation happened there, but it happened somewhere. So Shelby will be P5 or worse, because no time for the McLaren to set another flying lap, you would feel. Look at how close some of these cars are bunched up together, by the way. I think, is that Egg Fryer just in front of Agbala Jobs, both on a flying lap. But we will stick with Jumpy Painter for a moment. Ooh, it's maybe a slight improvement on his previous lap time, but it's going to... Ooh, and a little snap to the left there, I think. Crazy though it might sound, that's probably enough to ruin Jumpy Painter's lap and ruin any chance at pole position tonight. All the way down to first gear for the second to last corner, if you can believe it. Nice and tight on the final corner, though. If he can carry a lot of speed here, it's not going to be too bad from Jumpy Painter. It's a 1:32.2. I think it was a little bit of an improvement, but not enough of an improvement to move him up the timing chart. P3 or lower, in fact, for the Mercedes. Right, people are going to be crossing the line, so I need to stay on board. Soul Demon. What have we got? A 1:32.3. That's pretty quick and good enough for P4 for the moment. There is Test Wheel. Extends his lead at the top, a 1:31.9, and the first man to get into the 1:31s. Here's his nearest rival, the man who might be able to knock him off top spot, and does knock him off top spot. Look at that. Pole sitter looks like for the race it will be Snipes in the Haas. A 1:31.6. Pinkweb has abandoned the lap partway round. Tolu currently with 0.2 worth of improvement. Coming up to the final corner, Arbon has just crossed the line. I didn't see him move up the timing board, so no improvement, I think, for his Red Bull teammate, but a massive improvement for Tolu on his final flying lap. Moves all the way up from, I think that was 13th on the grid, to 5th, and will now be sitting on the 3rd row. A dramatic and exciting end to the qualifying. Looked for all the world like Test Will had done enough, set a really fast lap as his second flying lap. And then improved on it, in fact, for his final one. But absolutely no chance to finish ahead of Snipes with that 1:31.6. 0.3 ahead of second position. Snipes will lead them out on the starting grid from pole position. Test Wheel alongside on the front row. In third, Jumpy Painter, as I mentioned, had to miss the race in Texas, but we are grateful to have him back on the grid, and we'll be starting from P3. Soul Demon with that very fast final lap. I'm glad we caught that. Starting in 4th for the Alpine. Tolu's in 5th in the Red Bull. Pinkweb in 6th. Shelby, Agbala Jobs, Stormbringer, and Jatin in the Kick Sauber round out the top 10 a few times this season. I've been able to say that the top 10 drivers are representing 10 different constructors. I am not able to say that tonight. There are 2 Alpines, I think, in the top 6, and 2 McLarens in the top 8. So, opportunity for some decent constructors' points for some of those teams if they can hold their nerve, get the strategy calls right. As I say, it still looks quite grey. It still looks quite overcast. I don't know what's going on with the weather, but I suppose that I could tune in to the race chat. Rain near the end of the race is what I am hearing. Rain near the end of the race. Also, no readying up until 28 minutes past 8. So that is around about 2 minutes away. Strategy calls will be interesting then. I guess it depends when that rain actually comes, what kind of an impact it's going to have. To be honest, I think making China a one-stopper is not especially straightforward anyway. So there might be an opportunity to, depending on when we think the rain, is going to emerge, there might be an opportunity to mess with the strategy ever so slightly for some people. I think one-stops in general are just trickier though, aren't they? It might be fine at China. They're just generally trickier this year because we know about the increased tyre wear. We know about the effects of dirty air when you're trailing in the wake of the cars in front. Snipes, though, championship leader, invalidated his first lap of qualifying, and then qualifies pole position with a 3/10 gap. It looks pretty good, doesn't it, for the Haas driver so far? So far tonight, so far this season. Anything can happen in the race. 28 laps, I think, to get through in the Chinese Grand Prix here at the Shanghai International Circuit. Who let those people up there on the balcony. It looks like there's sort of not enough of them for it to look like they're supposed to be there. But enough of them that, you know, you probably can't do anything about it. I hope they have a lovely time. Who's Leo, by the way? Leo says we're going for 2 China wins in a row. Leo, who the hell are you? You on the grid? Will I make it? So the race could have started, and there we go. We are down to 5 red lights. And it's lights out, and away they go for the Chinese Grand Prix. It's a pretty good start for Snipes. Test Will looks slightly under pressure immediately, but they are 3 wide for P3, the Alpine, the Red Bull, and the Mercedes. Jumpy Painter, Soul Demon, and I think that is Tolu, all going side by side as they approach turn 1. It is Soul Demon who comes out the better and will just about slot into P3. It looks like everybody has just about survived the mess of the first couple of corners, but there's still plenty of opportunity for things to change. We have some differences of opinion when it comes to tyre strategies for the race. Shelby will ride on board here for a moment. He is very, very close to Pinkweb in the Alpine in front. No DRS, of course, for the first lap, so you may see some of these drivers burn a lot of battery going down this back straight. You saw some recommended, strategies on the screen there. It looks like the one stop might be possible, but that rain at the end of the race could have a significant impact on any strategies that these drivers want to pull off, and something has happened there to Golden Egg Fryer. I am not entirely sure what, but Golden Egg Fryer has dropped all the way down now to 17th place. Bit of a disaster for the Aston Martin driver as we watch Tolu try to hang it up the inside of Soul Demon through the hairpin, but it's not good enough. We'll have to slot in behind, ready for the final corner, and would you believe it, Snipes already has a lead of over a second on Test Will in P2. Test Will running very wide by the looks of it as well through turn 1. Yeah, Aston Martin a little bit in the mud, that's right. Thankfully, though, nobody has died yet. I am not sure what exactly happened to Hitwall, but Hitwall is around about 6 seconds away now from his nearest competitor, so something must have gone wrong for Hitwall there on that opening lap in the Aston Martin. But Snipes is pulling out a lead. Snipes is pulling out a lead. It is fair to say. Soul Demon might be called on here to try and make a bit of a dent in the Haas's lead, because Soul Demon, of course, is going to have that rear wing open going down the main straight. Doesn't have an awful lot of battery remaining, though, it is fair to say. How are you doing? Not sure. Jumpy Painter is back. Started P3 on the grid. Down into P5, though, after the opening lap. So, dropped back a couple of places, but generally speaking, has just about managed to hang with the cars in front. And there you see, still in DRS range, the rear wing flies open. And we see Tolu make a pass on Soul Demon, in fact, going down the straight. I was talking about maybe Soul Demon was going to make a push towards Snipes in front if he could get past Will, but it's actually Tolu who gets himself into a podium position now in P3, leaving the Alpine behind. That lead is growing for Snipes out in front, though. We might see a pass going up towards turn 1 here for Easy on the kick salver of Perez, and does make it happen. Nicely done. In fact, Verklempt and Arbon are getting very close together as well through this first little twisting section of the lap. Oof. Oof. Arbon just about manages to hold it together, but he is overtaken by Jatin as the Red Bull squirms and squirrels on the exit of, I assume turn 2. I don't know how they number corners at Formula 1 circuits anymore. You have to say, guys, we're approaching the end of lap 3, and Snipes' lead is almost 2 seconds. That's pretty significant. Jumpy Painter, in fact, has dropped back also from the leading pack here. Jumpy Painter is down around about 1.2 seconds to the cars in front. He's definitely going to get passed by the Alpine here. Tries to make it difficult for Pinkweb there, and hanging it around the outside. Jumpy Painter giving absolutely everything to defend this position, but the Alpine is maybe just positioned slightly better on track. But through that final corner, there is not enough room for 2 cars to go side by side through there, and Jumpy Painter makes the inside line count. He maintains 5th place. Pinkweb has to stay behind, who's now under threat from Shelby in the McLaren, burning every little piece of battery as we approach turn 1. Takes the inside line and leaves the Alpine behind. Well, that little bit of an attempt at a move from Pinkweb. Oh dear. Excuse me. Could have lost him 2 or 3 positions there. And none of it has done Jumpy Painter any favours at all in closing down the cars in front. Now 1.5 seconds behind Soul Demon, who is in 4th place in that Alpine. Interesting to see, actually, that alright, Snipes and Tolu have gone for the medium tyres, and they're in P1, P2. Then if you look at the rest of the field, the medium runners haven't really got going until P11. It's all hard runners occupying most of the points scoring positions. Maybe slightly topsy-turvy compared to what you would expect, especially in these opening few laps. Golden Egg Fryer riding on board with has managed to gain a few positions after a pretty disastrous start, it is fair to say, but P15 is better than P18. Layoff Painter, he's coming off a long vacation. I don't know if it's a long vacation, it's certainly a races vacation. Shelby has in fact got past Jumpy Painter and then is struggling for traction on the exit of turn 1 and the entry to turn 2. Very nearly gets rear-ended by the Mercedes. Some careful driving by all involved to keep it all pointing the right way on the track. It really looks like you know, from some of these angles, it looks like Shelby is pretty close to Soul Demon, as we watch Pinkweb somehow, through that very fast left-hander, manage to keep the position over the Ferrari behind. It looks like, doesn't it, that Shelby's really close to Soul Demon, but not close enough to have that rear wing open, and so probably will just continue to lose time. These three guys sitting from P2 to P4, Test Will, Tolu, and Soul Demon, really need to make this advantage count. Why do you switch off in the middle of a beautiful dive? I tell you, Tuj, if you think this is the place to be for careful, considered commentary, you're in the wrong Twitch stream. Because I'm useless at that stuff. Ferrari, trying to stay close to Easy in the V-carb. Is Storm going to have any legs to get any kind of a move done? No, is the answer, and especially not with about 5% battery remaining. Hopefully doesn't get caught by the McLaren behind, just needs to be ever so slightly wary of Balajov. Jumpy, Painter and Shelby are still incredibly close together. Commentates like he's never seen an F1 track. Well, what you also have to remember, not sure, is I am a tier 5 driver, which means I am slow. And I don't know what I'm doing, so I don't know what I'm commentating on. It's all vibes. It's all vibes. Although it has to be said, I think some of the most recent tier 5 races, I'm pretty sure we worked out that pole position would have been maybe on the front row of tier 3. So it is all pretty close together, isn't it? It's better than if I was a commentator. I agree with that, not sure. I agree with that. Ooh. Is Infinity disconnected? Is that what we're seeing? We were seeing something weird. We're seeing something weird for the second place Mercedes. Look at that from Shelby. There we go. How's that for a dive through Sherry? We caught the end of it as Shelby just about hangs on to P5 up the inside of the hairpin. And Jumpy Painter has to slot in behind lap 7 now then of 28. Shelby taking a defensive position, that inside line for turn 1, and Jumpy Painter doesn't go for anything too crazy, just slots in behind, thinks that he will be able to get the move done a little bit later on in the lap. There is a bit of a battery disparity between these two as well, about 25% for the McLaren and approaching 50% for the Mercedes. Commentate for yourself or get out of... Yeah, you know what, not sure. Get out. Yeah, don't worry about that. I mean, I think I've said it before. I commentate because I'm able to commentate and I have the time to do it, you know. And I've got a microphone and I've got streaming software. I don't think I'm particularly very good at it. But I think it's nice to be able to do something nice for the league. You know what I mean? Because I think it's generally a pretty good group of people. Look at all of this swerving and worming happening up in front as everybody tries to take defensive positions and then offensive positions, and Shelby very nearly loses the traction, and Jumpy Painter does lose the traction. We have a Mercedes in the wall, just slammed down on the throttle a little bit too hard, and Jumpy Painter dropping way down the order. In fact, he might even get overtaken by his teammate. No, don't worry, it's not got quite that bad, but is at least able to swing the Mercedes into the pits and fit a new front wing, you would imagine, on only lap 8 of the race, and gets a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Will he serve that now? Jumpy Painter retires. Jumpy Painter has retired in the pit lane after that 10-second penalty. And there it is. Out of the race. Third on the grid. Not sure the biggest Mercedes fan in the world is here with us in the chat and had to endure that with the rest of us. Really unfortunate stuff for Jumpy Painter. Oh, not sure he's not a driver, no. The thing is, Blitz, most of my channel, most of this Twitch channel has absolutely nothing to do with Formula 1. Like, that is not what we do here. Not Sure is mostly here for Star Wars content, philosophical puzzle games on a Sunday. This is it's very off-brand. But you know, Not Sure joins in. Who just came out of the pits there? I'm not sure what. Somebody did come out of the pits, didn't they? Or was I imagining things? I mean, it looked like, unless somebody was just on a very tight inside line, because I can't see any sort of indications of the pit stop, but it looked like there was some cars very close together around turn 1. Accused lover of Mercedes engineering. I'm a retired diesel mechanic. There you go. See, now Blitz, now it's like the supervillain's origin story. You know what I mean? This is how Not Sure came into being, and this is why we have to, you know, put the bat signal in the sky every night. Kindness is punk rock, by the way, and the new Superman movie is really good. Back to the race. Do you know him? Do I know Not Sure? Is that really what you're asking me? Not Sure's here all the time. Yeah. I mean, I don't know Not Sure IRL, but Not Sure is literally here all the time. I can't get rid of him. I've tried. Lord knows I've tried. We unsubbed him once after he spent his money. Do you remember that episode? Not Sure. That was a good one. He still stuck around after that. Yeah, an absolute nightmare. I expect medium runners to pit around now if they're going for 2-stop. Okay, that's good info. That's good info. But no, I don't know Not Sure IRL, because Not Sure lives an entire Atlantic Ocean away from me, and not interested in swimming that. Is there any action happening? I mean, doesn't really seem like it too much. We will keep an eye on these medium runners, though, because it's probably a good call by Twitch Cherry that some pit stops will be happening. Is one of them going to come from the man who is leading the Grand Prix, whose lead has come down? It is fair to say, at one point, Snipes had a lead of approaching 3 seconds over second place. That is now down to 1.2 seconds. So are those medium tyres just starting to feel the wear a little bit? Is there some mistakes coming in for Snipes in the previous few laps? It looks like Test Wheel is going to be within DRS range, at least at this early point of the lap. So an opportunity here on the hard tyres, which should probably have the advantage now over Snipes, for Test Wheel to really get some moves done on lap 11 of the Grand Prix. Oh, you're downloading OBS tonight and your microphone for your future channel. I'll tune in, Not Sure. I'll give you a load of stick in the chat. I'll do it. You better believe me. This is a very boisterous name, isn't it? Stormbringer? You better be a good driver if you're going to call yourself Stormbringer. That's kind of how I feel about that. We see the the Alpine of Pink Web squirreling around in front, just about managing to keep it all together. We have definitely seen some drivers pit early. Albon came in after only 8 laps. I don't think that was damage or anything. I think that was just a strategy call. For the voiceovers. I get it. Everybody just staying nicely behind the cars in front. There's some pretty big gaps really now across the field, and look at that. Our 2 medium runners in front do bring their cars into the pit. Snipes and Tolu will be fitting, you would imagine, a new set of hard tyres for the rest of the race. So, for the time being, we have a new race leader, and it is last week's driver of the day from Texas. Test Will 23 in the V car currently leads the Chinese Grand Prix, and he should still have plenty of life left in those hard tyres to make a success of this. Nathan, thanks so much for the follow. Welcome on in. It is good to have you on board for round 5 of 15 of Revolution Season 13 Tier 2. There are too many subtitles for this kind of a race, but that's how it goes. They should be able to go to the end. Not Test will, but yeah, I agree. Snipes and Tolu should. It's just how that rain's going to come into play, because most people in the chat, and I believe them, it was very overcast at the start, seem to think that rain will emerge towards the end of the race, but it might be one of those situations where it's so late that it's actually not going to matter that much. Is everyone looking quick? Jumpy Painter was looking quick until he slammed his Mercedes into the wall at the end of the penultimate corner. But yeah, people are looking pretty quick. Everyone but the fan favourite Mercedes, that's right. That was a little wide there from Shelby in front in the McLaren. I think that might be a warning. By the way, very interesting that we have no time penalty so far. I'm literally only just spotting that. We have the 3 seconds for hit wall in the Aston Martin, and that is it. Golden Eggfryer, who had a terrible start lap 1 of this race, finally brings the Aston Martin into the pits, and I think that's all the medium runners now are off their medium tyres, and they're all fitting hards, so you would imagine that they all want to go to the end of the race. Jumpy has had a stinker, yeah. To be honest, I'm unclear whether, because he did it right at the end of the lap and then did get the car into the pit lane, and I think, you know, if he could have fit a new front wing and a new set of tyres, maybe it'd have been okay, but he also got a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and I'm not sure if that was the straw that broke the camel's back, and that was just retirement city then for Jumpy Painter, unfortunately. Plenty of cars coming down this straight then. What is happening with DRS stuff? Everybody, well, I was about to say everybody has the rear wing open, but not Stormbringer. Shelby made some pretty big gains on easy in the V-car, but I imagine the penalty on top of the wing is what I think did it. Yeah, it seemed like just it seemed like a soup of bad stuff for dear old Jumpy Painter tonight, unfortunately. Still has a pretty respectable record in the league standings, despite essentially having 2 0-point races now with this one and having missed Texas last week. Look at that, just about maintaining the traction. A little bit of a Tokyo drift from Shelby in the McLaren. Love to see it. No one from the top is going for 2-stop because the hards would pit by now. Yeah, I think everybody is going for the 1-stop, which would indicate, wouldn't it, that that rain is going to be too late to actually matter, to actually impact the race at all. Although there is one man, there is one maverick on this race circuit who said, you know what? I'm not doing it like everybody else is doing it. All of you guys, you don't know what you're talking about. Let me show you the Perez way. He has 5-lap-old medium tires on. It's lap 14. Living his best life. Everybody, get your Perez flags out in the chat, please. Because this man right here, the two-stop extraordinaire, we call him, might already have won Driver of the Day for me. I told you, it's all about vibes. And the vibes I'm getting right now is Action Hero. What is happening here? Is this a wing damage? What has happened here? Oh, no. These are hard runners. Okay. They're hard runners, so they're planning to take the mediums, I guess, the next 13 laps. This seems like relatively early to me. It seems ever so slightly early, but maybe it's not so crazy. It's kick. Kelston loves a kick car. The Clamps and Arbonne are on 2 stops as well, but they don't count really. Yeah, it does seem like they're on 2 stops, although they fit the hard tyres. I mean, yeah, but they can't take them. They can't take them 20 laps, can they? Listen, I've seen Tolu do some crazy things. You think they're 2-stopping? We'll find out. Right, am I missing any action? What's, what, you know what I mean? What's going on? I think I sounded like Ozzy Osbourne there for a minute. I don't think we really need to see the tyre situation now, but I don't know what else we need to see. Penalties? Not really. I guess we keep the tyres up on screen. Lots and lots of position changes. Look at the gains that Easy has made, and we just saw another one. Easy moves up into P2. What a great time to ride on board with the V-Carb as he flies past the Alpine down the straight. Alpine tries to stay with him around the outside, but does decide to back out. You can't really hang it around the outside of the final corner, and in fact, Soul Demon... No. Yeah, Soul Demon brings it into the pits, so Test Will and Soul Demon getting off those hard tyres, right? Now, I need to go back to tyres so that I can actually keep up with what's happening in the race. We have a new race leader. It's been a good day so far for V-Carb, actually, hasn't it? Easy now is leading the Grand Prix. Only a 10-second advantage over Snipes, though, who does move into essentially the lead of the race because he definitely has less than a pit stop to make up on Easy in front. Sounds like pure favoritism. I don't have favorites, but man, I do love a prancing horse though. I don't have favorites, but the vibes in the Tifosi are immaculate. I do like Ferrari, but unfortunately, you know what I mean, the Ferraris are not really doing anything. Although Stormbringer up the inside of Arbonne gets the move done. We came a little bit too late to really see it happen, but let's lean into Kelston's favoritism for a moment as we see him ride the inside curb with all the daring of Evel Knievel. Don't let him lie to you. No, I'm not interested in the kit car. Still no further time penalties other than that 3-second for hit wall, by the way. Is very commendable for all of these drivers out on track so far. Around about 12 laps to go. 12, 13 laps of the Chinese Grand Prix, and we are about to have a new race leader. Let's capture the moment for you because this might be the final overtake that is done for the race lead tonight. Snipes overtakes Easy in the pit lane. The Haas moves up into P1, and it is a pretty solid P1 at the moment. A 3-second advantage over Tolu in second. Test Will does manage to overtake his teammate in the pit lane. Unfortunately for Easy, coming out in P6, and then Shelby around the outside of turn 1. Little bit of a coming together, little bit of wheel bumping. Shelby keeps that inside line through turn 2 and will have the better traction there. Was very, very close as Easy exited the pit lane, but These two have tyres now that are incredibly even. And up the inside, Easy goes. And they are going to be side by side into the long sweeping left-hander. Can Easy get any kind of a move done? As long as Shelby holds the line, really, it's going to be very difficult for the V-Carb to just stay with the McLaren with all that dirty air coming into play. Audi will be a better image next year. That's true. That's true. That's true. I won't have so much of a problem, you know, supporting an Audi car rather than, you know, casino.com or whatever the hell it is. Can see through the lies. Listen, don't come in here, Nathan. By the way, a pass for Easy. Look at that. Don't come in here, Nathan. Up into P6. Oh, not quite. This is fantastic racing between these two. As we see Hitwall get another 3-second time penalty. We're not going to worry about that, because we're going to ride on board with Stormbringer as through the final corner, the McLaren and the V-Carb of Shelby and Easy go side by side. What a great race. It looks like Shelby lost a little bit of traction then on the final corner and drops back ever so slightly, but he is not giving up this race. This is going to be battling for a long time now, you would think, between these two. They look very evenly matched. Their tyres are pretty much on par. What's the battery situation like? I mean, look at it. You couldn't write it. Their battery situation is, you know, almost the same. Give it to me next season, German car and driver. Yeah, I need an Irish constructor, don't I? Whatever happened to Eddie Jordan, you know? Hitwall, okay. Hitwall retires. Got a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. I think it's all over. Perez, by the way. Wait. Yeah, has made his second pit stop. Perez has made his second pit stop. And we'll be taking those hard tyres now, you would think, to the end of the race. Honestly, not a lot is going to happen between the top 5, you wouldn't think. Or between the top 4, I should say. They all look pretty set in stone. But this is really where the race is on now for tonight. Easy moves up to P5, overtaking Pinkweb down the straight. And Shelby, with that rear wing open, makes some inroads as well. They very nearly end up 3 wide on the exit of the hairpin. And all of these cars down to Stormbringer are going to be very close together for quite a while, and we should be seeing some pretty exciting racing for the next 10 or so laps that will close out tonight's Chinese Grand Prix. They might, I mean, they've actually gained there on Soul Demon in front, if you can believe it. I'm not sure if it was a bit of a mistake from Soul, but they could be in the discussion for P4 even come the end of the Grand Prix. Not sure if anything's really happening down the order. Unfortunately, Arbon has that time penalty. Infinity just hasn't looked quite up to the pace. Skull Killer, I'm not sure what's going on, but 23 seconds is a pretty massive gap at this stage. So I think like Nat in P12 is probably feeling pretty comfortable, you know. Streamlabs snitching. Yeah, well, there's you see how Not Sure did the hack Skynet? He spent 2,500 channel points, which should indicate to you that Not Sure has no life and spends all his time watching this Twitch stream, which is how he's built up the points. There is a feature where people can hack Streamlabs and put whatever chat message they would like into it. And I did say Soul Demon was going to get brought into this battle. And Soul Demon is now very much in this battle because we have a new driver in P4. It's Easy, 3rd and 4th currently for the V-Carb. Nice little overtake there. And now there are 5 cars, really, all in contention for P4 in this race. I think Stormbringer is just struggling to keep up with the pace a little bit, but so much battling will probably be going on in front of Stormbringer that it shouldn't be the end of the world. It should be able to maintain a reasonable gap and just take those opportunities when they arise. Battery percentage is incredibly low currently for the Ferrari, though. Don't take this from Kelston, Not Sure. What's that line? Is it from a film? You shall take exactly what I give you. Whoa, 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 whoa! Soul Demon manages to hold it together, but that was slippery and slidey. As he took a very tight apex on that corner and nearly saw the car slip away from him. This is going to be, I would think, an exciting finish to this Grand Prix. Now, here's an interesting little story that is developing while all that's happening. The gap between Testwill in third and Tolu, who is currently riding in P2, is down to around about a second and a half. And you would think, at least for the next few laps, Testwill is going to have a reasonable kind of tyre advantage over Tolu. So that is the thing that might happen. We'll just keep half an eye on that. Unfortunately, Pinkweb has dropped back to 1.3 seconds behind Soul Demon, which has created a little bit of parity here now amongst all these cars that we were previously watching. Stormbringer is down over a second to Shelby, who's very, very close to Pinkweb there through the first corner. Let's ride on board with this for a moment. And the gap has also opened up between P6 and P5. A little bit of parity between the Alpines. Let him know you can go and watch Albon stream. Man, do you know how much money, Nathan, I would pay, or not sure, to not tune in to this Twitch stream? Because I gotta tell you, it's more than £10. It's more than that. Well, I did say it was a story that was developing. P2 is not nailed on, because here is a V-carb with the rear wing open going into the penultimate corner, and up the inside goes Testwill of Tolu, and does look like he's got that move done. The Red Bull slots in behind, and Testwill making that tyre advantage count, making his pace advantage count, gets move done over the Red Bull. Now, I think DRS will actually be active for Tolu here, but it's not for a particularly long time. Over the start-finish straight, but very, very wide by the V-carb, and there was a little bit of a gap opening up there for the Red Bull. Tolu nearly thought about picking it up, in fact. I do like him, really. You're right about that. So there's going to be a battle on for second. There's going to be a battle on for fourth. There's going to be a battle on for sixth. And Stormbringer is not out of that battle for sixth just yet. Golden Egg Fryer, by the way. What a race it has been after, an awful, awful start. Now up into P9 and a solid, really, point-scoring position after running in P18 for some of this race. Jatin, though, in the Kicksauber is very close behind the Aston Martin, and those two will be close together by the end of the race. So you only have to look at the minimap, really, though, to see the kind of parity that exists between some of these cars on track. Again, Nat not feeling under too much pressure, really, from any of the cars around. I don't think Perez is going to be able to make that tyre advantage count by the end of the Grand Prix on that two-stop strategy. So, unfortunately, hero of the hour, Perez, is probably out of the points for today. Have a lovely evening. Gotta get back to my life. No worries. Have a great life, not sure. We'll see you soon. Thanks for chilling out. No penalties. Not a lot of anything going on, really, apart from the battles that are happening between these drivers close together. By the way, I was saying before that there was a battle on for fourth, but there is not now. I should have perhaps been riding on with Soul Demon slightly more, because Soul Demon now nearly 2 seconds down on Easy. That one looks to have drifted away from the Alpine driver, but there is still this three-way battle for P6 that is happening, with Pinkweb currently the lead driver between himself, Shelby, and Stormbringer. Tolu is going to be close behind Testwill on the main straight here. Has plenty of battery saved up, but so does Testwill. Be interesting to see how these two decide to go about this, because still a relatively long way to go, really. 5.5 laps left of the Grand Prix. I think we're messing the battle for P2. No, we're kind of watching the battle for P2. Although, I looked at chat at the wrong moment because Testwill got a 3-second time penalty there. Has reached his warning limit, and really now, that might make P2 a little bit more nailed on. And in fact, if Easy can get his skates on and get a move on, might find himself in a podium position by the end of the Grand Prix, as long as he can keep it between the white lines. Heartbreak for Testwill. I don't think he's going to be able to open up a 3-second advantage on Tolu behind. Tolu will probably be very happy to just slot in behind the V-carb for a little while, because I don't think that really anybody can challenge the dominance of this man, Snipes, who hasn't really, but has essentially led tonight's race from start to finish, not including all the nonsense that happens around pit stops. Snipes has been by far and away the fastest driver out on track, and as long as he can get the Haas to the end of the race, will deserve that race win. But yeah, the battle for P2 might be over now, which basically just leaves us with the battle that's still ongoing for P9 between Golden Eggfryer and Jatin, and then this battle that's happening for P6 between Pinkweb, Shelby and Stormbringer. It did look a little bit earlier like Stormbringer was struggling to keep up with the pace of these guys in front and was falling behind a little bit, but that doesn't seem to be the case now. It does look like in front, Easy is in a position to finish on the podium currently with that 3-second time penalty for Testwill. Testwill may end up backing up Tolu. I mean, maybe, but Testwill doesn't really want to do that, does he? Testwill, if anything, probably wants Tolu to overtake him and, you know, play some DRS games and try and build out an advantage over Easy so that he can at least finish on the podium. Testwill might as well forget about racing Tolu now and just focus on being as fast as possible so that 3 seconds doesn't lose him the extra position. Not sure what he will gain, but team game and all that. Well, it could, but I don't think there's... I don't know. Maybe that will happen. I don't see that will factor into his thinking quite as much. At the end of the day, you're going to have one V-carb on the podium. Testwill will be thinking that it might as well be him, but I think it's going to be really difficult, actually, for it to be Testwill, because that gap between Easy and Tolu is just coming down and down and down all the time. How are Jatin and Eggfryer getting on? Well, that's how they're getting on. Jatin in the Kicksauber has got the move done, got the overtake done, and Jatin moves up into P9. Final few laps of the Grand Prix now tonight. Eggfryer, a great recovery drive after a disappointing start, but gonna be tough, I think, to reclaim that position over Jatin. Certainly not impossible, though. Plenty of overtaking opportunities around China, and a lot of this that's happening right now with drivers just staying behind other drivers will be it'll be strategy games a little bit. You don't really need to pick your moment to attack until you're on the final lap or two. We see the Alpine going very far to the right hand side of the track there to hold off the McLaren. Pressing down on that battery is Shelby, and trying to be the last of the late breakers right up the inside, very, very tight to the apex. Almost really creates no avenue for the Alpine to go down behind him. Shelby gets the move done and moves up into P6. And now Pinkweb might be under threat slightly from Stormbringer, not with a battery percentage like that. But Shelby has burnt all his battery, and look at the straight line speed advantage for Pinkweb going into turn 1. This is going to be a tense battle right up until the end of the race. Yep, Eggfryer and Jatin are just swapping positions at the moment. Not clear yet who's going to take the win between those two cars come the end of the race. Tolu still just staying comfortably behind Testwill in front. And, I mean, maybe there is a little bit of backing up happening. But either way, Easy is gaining. And maybe gaining at a rate where on the final lap might be in a position to challenge Tolu, in fact. So we will try and keep up with that one slightly, because it looks slightly more interesting than perhaps it first appeared. Congratulations to Skullkiller, by the way, who looks like he is going to finish tonight's Grand Prix. And hopefully not get lapped by Snipes. I don't think... Whoa, what happened to that lag there? Sorry about that. But hopefully won't get lapped by Snipes. I don't think that's realistically going to happen. But a 38-second time disadvantage to the car in front. Skullkiller just getting those laps in. Now then, what about this? The race for P2 is not over, because Easy is only 7/10 down on Tolu. You can see Tolu just up in front, maybe is getting held up by Easy's teammate slightly. And there is only, what, a lap and a half to go of the Chinese Grand Prix. Snipes has won it. And congratulations go to Snipes. Pole position by 3/10. Absolutely dominant performance in the race. But exciting things are going to be happening down the rest of the order. Oh my god, you're absolutely right. See, this is why I'm a bad commentator. Tolu has 3 seconds. Tolu has a 3-second time penalty, so it's absolutely not over. And in fact, as things stand, we will have a double V-carb podium, because Easy will be sitting on P2 and Testwill will be in third. But no DRS for Testwill in the V-carb, and Tolu now, with that 3-second time penalty, burns all the battery and gets the move done going down the straight. We can see the other V-carb approaching behind. Tries to hang it around the outside there, Testwill, around the hairpin, but then does eventually slot in behind. We're not going to see the two V-carbs try it side by side in the final corner, are we? We are absolutely not. So right now for Easy, this is actually not too bad. Easy now might try and make life a little bit difficult for Tolu to repay the favour to his teammate, as we see Testwill taking that wide line again around turn 1, and it almost looked like there might be a bit of time, a bit of space, excuse me, to make that happen. But the race between Testwill and Tolu is on, and it's on for P3. Whilst all that's been happening, the gap between Shelby and Eggfryer, whoa, in P7 has become 3 and a bit seconds, so that whole battle has changed and shifted and morphed as well. Now then, unfortunate thing here for Testwill is Tolu will have the DRS, he will have that rear wing open, and has managed to save up plenty and plenty of battery for this main straight. The real question is, how difficult is Easy going to make things for the Red Bull? You can see Testwill is unfortunately just very, very far back, and Tolu incredibly thinks about making the move around the outside of the hairpin. A little bit of a coming together with the V-carb, but I think that does it. I think Tolu will take the final spot on the podium. Great drive by Easy in the end, who manages to finish in P2. Snipes, of course, wins the Grand Prix and deserves the plaudits for that. It would be Tolu in P3, Easy P2, Testwill in P4. Soul Demon manages to hang it all together and finishes in only the way that Soul Demon could, to take P5. Golden Egg Fryer, that great recovery drive, manages to end up P7, would you believe it? And Stormbringer is at the back of that group. Pinkweb then. Pinkweb, I think, is the one who had the problem. We must have missed a little bit of a moment for Pinkweb. What happened to Skullkiller? I'm not sure. I think it was probably just a retirement in the pit lane for Skullkiller. He was around about 40 seconds behind the next placed car on track. Pinkweb all the way down to P10 and was in that battle for P6 a little bit earlier on. It'd be interesting to see if there's reports to be made and things to happen. I definitely missed some of those moments, but we were focusing a little bit on the battle the P2 and P3 that was ongoing right up until the end there. Yeah, thanks Blitz for chilling out. It was a good race. And I enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Oh, you got a puncture last lap, Pinkweb. Absolutely heartbreaking. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear it. It was a great race, though. We were on board with you for a little while. You were in some good battles throughout most of that Grand Prix. I'm sorry to hear it, Pinkweb. In the end, then, with a puncture, respectable finish in 10th. It looked like it was going to be a really, really good day for Alpine, but I think Soul Demon finished P5, which is not bad, is it? P5 is pretty good, but it looked like it might even be better than that during some of the early stages of the race for Soul Demon. But there you have it. Snipes is the race winner in the Haas. The championship leader extends his lead at the top of the standings. P2 tonight was easy in the V-Carb, who basically just managed to keep his car between the white lines more often than the cars around him. Some high intensity battling by those cars from P2 to P4 that really led to those time penalties. Tolu eventually took that final spot on the podium, finishing P3 ahead of Testwill. Right, everybody, that's it for the Chinese Grand Prix. Next week, I believe that we are in Austria. Maybe I will see you then for some more Formula One action in Tier 2. I'm going to be racing, of course, and I will stream it, as I always do, on Friday night, if you want to catch that one. Between now and then, love you all a lot. Please be unspeakably, unreasonably, and unfathomably kind to each other over the coming days. Good night. I'll see you soon.